Hello everyone, in this video I will show you guys how to use GitHub with your C# projects. You may be wondering, why am I teaching GitHub instead of Git? Because I like to see what I'm doing visually, and I do not know of anything that Git has to offer, and GitHub does not. Okay, before we start, I'll need to explain to you what a repository is. Well, I don't know any good way to explain it, so...
Now when it comes to version control, there's a lot of terminology being thrown around, but here's the basic breakdown. Git is an open source version control system. GitHub is a website that makes it easy to host and control projects using Git. When you sign up on GitHub, you can create a repository. A repository is a place where you can store your project. After creating a repository or repo, people can clone it to their computers. That means creating a local version of the project that's sitting on your computer. You can then make changes to the project and commit these changes to the repository on GitHub, and everyone will get notified about the change.
Thank you, Brackeys, for explaining it very well. I would recommend you watch his video on GitHub, which is the first link in the description. The first thing you will need to do to use GitHub is download the GitHub desktop app. You can do so by clicking the second link in the description. Once you are there, click the download button for the appropriate operating system. There is no download button for Linux because GitHub does not support it. When the GitHub desktop setup finishes downloading, run it to do the setup. When GitHub loads, it should look something like this. If you do not have an account, click Create a Free Account. If you have an account, click Sign in to github.com. I'm going to click Sign in because I have already created an account. If you do not have a repository on your computer, or GitHub does not recognize you have one, you will see this screen. If you have a repository on your computer and GitHub does not recognize it, then you can click Add Existing Repository from Hard Drive. Then locate the repository. If you have a repository on your account but not on your computer, click Clone a repository from the internet to add it to your hard drive. If you want to create a new repository, then click Create a new repository on your hard drive, which is what I'm going to do. If you click Create a new repository on your hard drive, you will be presented by this screen. To create a new repository, you will need a name and a location for the repository, but all the other information is optional. The gitignore is a text file that allows you to choose file types that you do not want to include in your project. There are many gitignores that GitHub comes with. For example, there's one for Unity, there's one for Unreal, there's one for C++, and one for C. I'm going to click None because there is none for C#. Hey guys, I was editing this and I realized there is a gitignore for Visual Studios. Then there's the license, which I recommend leaving it on None. I'm going to name my repository Example Repository, and I'm not going to add a description or a README. Then you will need to choose a location for the repository. I'm going to put my repository in my game development folder on my PC. Then press Create Repository. Now I'm going to open Visual Studios. Then I'm going to press Create New Project. And I'm going to choose the class library.NET framework. And press Next. Then I'm going to name my project Example Repository. And make the directory the example repository file that GitHub made. Then I'm going to choose the latest version of the .NET framework that I have installed on my computer. Then I'm going to click Place Solution and Project in same directory. Then I'm going to click Create. Now I'm going to go back to GitHub. You can see that new files were added. If you click on one of the files, GitHub will show you the content of the file. This only works with some types of files. Click the gear icon, click the split button under different displays. Now you see it looks different. On the left side, it will show you what the selected file used to have in it. And on the right, it will show you the new content of the file. If the line number is blue and you click it, then that line you clicked will not be saved to the cloud. You can also click and drag to select multiple lines. To commit your changes, you will need to give a name. I'm going to call mine Added C# Project. Once you have named it, you can press Commit to Main. Then click Push Repository. Then if the project has not been pushed before, there will be a menu like this. If you want your repository to be public, make sure the Keep this code private box is not checked. Then, when you are finished, click Push Repository. Now, if you go to github.com and look at your repository list, it will show the new repository. If you click it, it will open the repository page. If you want to, you can navigate your repository and look at all the files. To share the project with others, you will need to click the Settings button, then click Collaborate, then click Add People. Then enter in their username, full name, or email. Then click Add to this repository. Now you see that the invite is pending. Now the collaborator should receive an invite through email, and there will be a blue dot on the bell icon in the top right corner of the GitHub page. If they click the bell icon on the GitHub page, they will see an invite that you sent them. Then click the message, then click Accept Invitation. After the button is clicked, they will be brought to the repository page. Then go to the GitHub desktop app and click Clone Repository from Internet. If the repository does not show, then click the refresh button until it shows. Once it shows, click it. Then choose a path for it to be cloned to. I'm going to save mine to the D drive. Now I'm going to open the repository that I just cloned in VS Code. It will ask you if you want to install Git. You do not have to use Git to use GitHub, and you do not need any GitHub extensions. I'm going to change the class name to Square and change the file name to Square. I'm going to add an area function that takes in a float and returns width times width. If I go back to GitHub, I can preview the changes made to the project. Here I see that the file named class1 was removed and the file named square was added. If you do not want to commit any changes to a file, you can click the check mark next to its name. I am going to commit these changes to a new branch. A branch is a contained area of a repository, which allows you to have multiple branches, each having a different version of the project. To make a branch, you need to click the Current Branch button, then click New Branch. Name the branch whatever you'd like. GitHub does not allow spaces in the branch name, so it will automatically convert any space to a dash. Once you press Create Branch, there will be a pop-up that is asking you if you want the changes to stay on the current branch or if you want to move the changes to the new branch. Click Bring My Changes to the new branch. Now I'm going to name my new commit, Added More Functions, and commit it to the new branch. Then press Push Branch. Then reload the GitHub page. You should be able to see that there are now two branches. If you want, you can make a pull request to merge the main branch with the new branch, but I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to go back to my main account. Now I can see that there are two branches. To change to a different branch, open the repository on the GitHub desktop app and click Fetch Origin. Then click on the branch button and click the branch that you want to update to. If you have made any changes that have not been committed, a pop-up will appear asking you if you want to leave the changes on the current branch or if you want to move them to a new branch. I leave them on the current branch. Then press Switch Branch. When I open Visual Studios and open the repository, Visual Studios does not know where the class 1 script went, and it does not recognize the new Square script. To fix this, open the folder again. You can see it shows the Square script instead of the class 1 script. Thank you guys for watching till the end. At the top of your screen are some channels I recommend you watch, and at the bottom of your screen is my newest video.